All right, welcome back to the Live Zone Prime Time. Just about 12 minutes left in the show. Tony P, Super Bowl right around the corner. And this next story is for all the fans of the burgundy and gold. We are talking to diehard fans and maybe the ones that have some deep pockets as well, because you can now own a piece of the diesel. We are talking about the one and only John Riggins, Redskins legend, the former running back, putting up for auction some of his personal collection of memorabilia. So for more on the items, how you can make a bid, Dave Hunt from Hunt Auctions joining us now live. Good evening. Thanks so much for being with us.
Great to be here. It's never good to follow a Bears fan after last weekend. I got to tell you, that's rough.
I know. It was kind of a brutal way to end the season.
Yeah.
LA should not be in that championship game. I'm sorry.
No, I know. It's kind of a
Bears
bummer.
were due for that.
Yeah, that's what makes football so fun, though, and what we're about to talk about, whether it's the different generations of players, different generations of teams. And as you guys well mentioned, if you think about the Washington teams of that era, the first name that comes to mind, obviously and rightfully so, is John Riggins. Just an incredible, not only player, but really popular culture figure in the D.C. area during that time period, for sure.
And 700 items, I believe, from his personal collection going up for bid. We're taking a look at some of them right here. Can you talk to us about why he's parting with them now, and also some of the items that are actually up for auction?
Yeah, and just to make sure I got it correct, there's 700 items in the total auction that we partner with NFL Auction at the Super Bowl. This is the 19th year we've done it. Not all of those are from John's collection, but there are hundreds of things from John's collection and others, including Joe Jacoby, another great name from, of course, the Hogs offensive line of the great Washington teams of that era. And I think it's different for everybody. Every player has a different reasoning for doing it. And I think John put it so well in his press release, really eloquently, like how many years that meant to him to enjoy what the fans gave him, actually, not what he gave to them, but what they gave to him. And that those memories, the experiences he had, his teammates on and off the field, and what more appropriate way to offer them than at the Super Bowl, which was his crowning moment of his career, of course, which I'm sure we'll talk about in a minute with the jersey, and a portion of the proceeds going back to help NFL auction charities. So just a great way to share it on the world's biggest football stage, really appropriately for a player such as the Diesel.
Yeah, and Tony P, I mean, speaking of the Super Bowl, I mean, is that the jersey behind you?
That is it. And when I say the jersey, that is the jersey. Grass stains, you name it. It is as is in a good way.
Goodness.
And when we do the authentication, of course, not that it would be in question coming right from the source, but we actually use, third-party authentication does photo matching. So they will literally match the nuances of the shirt itself to different characteristics during the game. So you'll see a tear on the shoulder. You can go back and watch that video of him running down the sideline, and you will see that same tear. So, all the jerseys that we've sold over the 3.5 decades we've been in this, and other companies as well, this is arguably one of the most significant football Super Bowl worn jerseys that's ever been offered publicly. So it'll be really fascinating to see who competes for it, whether it'll be a Washington fan or a Super Bowl or Hall of Fame member fan. But a heck of a jersey, that's for sure. And what a moment, what a game, that now still today is remembered as one of the greatest individual performances in Super Bowl history, for sure.
Speaking about a younger audience, right, that may not have known this era and what it meant to the game or to the Washington franchise generally, how can we talk about sports memorabilia, making that purchase? What can this purchase mean for a younger viewer that may not have been in that generation or have seen it really up close, beyond just it's a thing on my wall that I can flex about? What are some of the benefits that a fan can get if they didn't see it, and it's way beyond just the thing on the wall they can flex about?
Yeah, it's a great question, and we've seen this a lot ever since the unfortunate nature of the pandemic and what came out of that, not just from a health standpoint, but an economic standpoint, culturally, all the changes that it really, I feel, sped up in the world. And what we saw, thinking this could be a real problem for our industry, it just took off because people were sort of stuck at home. They were being nostalgic about things that made them happy, memories, whether it were baseball cards in an attic or watching John Riggins score that touchdown. So what we saw is a lot of young people get into it, in collecting and sort of investing / collecting. So it's a great thing. It's a wonderful thing to see, but it's also something you have to be really careful about, as you're probably alluding to. So what we tell people is just always trust who you're dealing with. Learn as much as you can, but as much as you can learn, somebody's learned 3 times more over a longer period of time. So you have to be really careful to just sort of jump in head first and not see how deep that water is. But it's become a wonderful way for people to not only get some incredible artifacts that they might want to collect or enjoy or share or even loan to museums and institutions to display, but they've outperformed over the 30-some years I've done this. It's outperformed almost every major market. It's really stunning to see. We'll have pieces that we sold 15, 20 years ago for $200,000 or $300,000, which was an enormous money back then. That now we'll be calling those clients back, and they'll be worth $3, $4, $5 million. That is not the case with every item. But what we always tell people is buy what you love and buy the best quality you can afford from the people that you can trust, and you'll never usually go wrong.
All right, so on that note, beyond the jersey, the Super Bowl jersey behind you, can you talk to me about some of the other items from Rigo's collection that are up for auction and what you expect some of the major ones to sell for?
Yeah, again, we talked about the jersey, which certainly will be a 6-figure piece. I think it's already approaching 60,000, and it's only been online for a few days. But there are many, many things. This is important to both us and NFL Auction and even the players as well, that are under a few $100, $500, $300, $200, just whether it's a game, football, which he certainly won many. So something as simple as this, like would be one of the, you'd be presented as a game ball, that are great pieces and a lot of fun if you're a fan, but they're not going to cost you thousands and thousands of dollars. That's something that's important to everybody. Then there's obviously more commemorative pieces, just whether it be a trophy or just an autograph piece. And then there's sort of things if you really want to raise your game, no pun intended. And yes.
What?
That is the ring.
No.
That is his Super Bowl ring from the championship.
And that's also on the auction here.
It does, yeah.
Oh,
so that is going to be a really special piece. And again, what value that will bring, it will depend on the buyers, the emotion behind it, their attachment to the player in that team. But if you think about, whether it's John Riggins or Joe Jacoby or any of the great players in that team and what they mean to that city and that franchise, that's where it starts and ends. So we'll see how that bidding will equate. But again, doing it at the world's biggest stage in conjunction with NFL Auction and NFL Auction charities, we're so thrilled and honored to be involved with all the players, John and Joe Jacoby, and it'll be a really exciting event for sure.
When you look at, again, taking to my generation again, because this is kind of where we exist, whether it be with the sports gambling, renaissance, and all things social media, what do you see as the future for auctions such as this, for players that are playing now, they'll be retired in 20, 30 years? Do you see it being the same as shirts and balls and helmets, or do you see other assets taking more prominence as time goes on?
That's a great question. I mean, we've really straddled all those different worlds all the years we've done this. I mean, I remember, I guess I'm dating myself, when you would have a Ken Griffey Jr. piece, and that was a modern item.
Right.
Now he's removed from the game for 20, 30 years. So, that demographic marches on. That's what we always talk about. And, we just sold Willie Mays' collection for his estate, and we had known Willie for 20 some odd years. There's certain names like Willie or John or Joe Jacoby, any of these folks, they're going to carry on long past all of us as a legacy. Right. But from a marketability standpoint, it does change. It does, ebb and flow. And while you'll have younger people that will sort of gravitate towards players that they're watching, whether it be, a Jaden Daniels or a Jalen Hurts or Tom Brady, whoever it may be, what we like to do is see them sort of enter with the pieces that they are growing up watching and enjoying, and then learn about and be experienced and exposed to these earlier players and how that's the beauty of sports, right? Is that you can transcend and compare eras, and even as modern as the games get, it's interesting how you can compare back to earlier days, and a lot of the things are really exactly the same. So we've seen that a lot, and that's really cool. It's funny. You see at the conventions and the shows, and we'll be at the Super Bowl Experience for a week out in San Francisco, and you will see, 15-year-olds, 10-year-olds, 11-year-olds walk up, and they won't necessarily have known who these players were, but they'll know the name a little bit. They'll say, I think my dad gave me one of those cards. And so we're really all about loving, educating that younger generation of collectors and again, I can't stress this enough. If you go into this just trying to make money, it's not going to work out. I can promise you. We see it all the time where, unfortunately, a lot of young people are just chasing, that valuable piece and not understanding what makes it valuable, not understanding what the pieces that aren't valuable, why they're not valuable. So
Dave,
it's really, again, buying what you love and educating yourself.
I'm sorry to cut you off, but we're down to our final minute. 2 quick follow-up questions. 1, if people want to learn more about the auction, where can they do it? And 2, has any piece ever come through your office that you have said, I need for my own personal collection, and I cannot even let anyone else stand a shot at getting this out from under me?
All right, let's do the housekeeping quick. So if you go to huntauctions.com or at NFL Auctions website, all the items are there, both John Regan's collection, Joe Jacoby's collection, and hundreds of other items, including some things right from the NFL, including 2 Super Bowl tickets, with all the proceeds going to charity. So as far as items that come through our hands that I would love or couldn't have parted with, many of them. Babe Ruth bats, all kinds of things. The jersey and the helmet that Rudy Rudiger wore when he was carried off the field, the real one, not the movie.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
At Notre Dame.
Go Irish.
I mean, and on and on and on. The problem is I had to make a decision a long time ago. It's too conflicted. We can't pluck the best things out of our own auction, of course. We don't bid in our own auctions. But it's so really, really cool to be able to meet these players. And I'll leave you with one. Being able to sit across from Bill Russell and deal with him personally to sell his collection.
Favorite.
It was scary at first till he started doing that big laugh and made me feel at home. And those are the kind of things that I treasure. So it's not just the pieces, it's the memories too.
Amazing. Dave Hunt from Hunt Auctions, thanks so much for spending some time with us here on the Live Zone Primetime. Good luck.
Thank you, guys.
All right, Tony, we're down to the final 5 seconds. Thank you for everyone for joining us here tonight.
Man.
Fox 5.